Good afternoon, my lovely friends, and welcome to Peaceful Bird Gardens. My name is Danny, and I wanted to take this moment to introduce you to the garden and to the channel and what you'll find here. So during the pandemic, my husband and I decided to turn our front yard and our backyard into a wildlife habitat and food forest. Now, I am an ecologist. I have been trained in habitat loss, fragmentation, invasive species, and things like that. So during the pandemic, I don't know, just kind of, it was very apparent to me the amount of habitat that we've lost. The biodiversity report came out from the UN, and so it was just very hard for me, to see all of the destruction without giving back a little bit. So that's kind of what this space was about. I've always felt very, very connected with nature. I'm an environmental activist and have been for a long time. So I wanted to create a space not only for me and my family, but also for the wildlife and just the community in general, but a space that can also provide food for us as well and make us a bit more resilient. So we really did start with the foundation of our property. We live in Central Florida, Zone 9B, 10A. We are on the west coast of Florida in Pinellas County, so it's a very, very interesting climate to garden in. We deal with a lot of humidity, we deal with a lot of heat. There are many, many months where we get lots of rain. We get on average 52 inches of rain a year. So those are all very interesting conditions to try to grow food, and plants in. So we brought in 60 plus tons of mulch to date. All we had was just very nutrient poor, sandy, silty soil that was very, very free draining, which is great for growing plants, but not the lack of nutrition. So we sheet mulched the entire property, and it's about 7,200 square feet with the imprint of the house. We sheet mulched everything and laid down mulch, after mulch after mulch after mulch. And now what we have is this amazing, rich, just composty, lovely black soil to grow our food in. And that's been about 2 years since we've, been altering the soil. And a lot of people, when they think of soil, they don't understand that it's actually going extinct. So because of our monocultured agricultural system, we're actually losing soil daily, and that's not something that we can just snap our fingers and get back. That takes time. Trust me, I can tell you, it takes time to build that up over time. So, and soil isn't just rocks and minerals and but soil is alive. Soil is full of microbes and insects and organisms that break down and add to the nutrition for the plants. There are these mycorrhizae that develop relationships with the plants that allow them to communicate with each other and share resources. So by laying down the mulch and covering the soil, because nature abhors a vacuum, that's why in a mulch situation, you don't necessarily have as many weeds and things because you're not disturbing the soil. You're just covering it, continuously covering it and covering it and covering it. And that creates this wonderful organism, because that's what soil is. It's an organism. It creates this wonderful network of organisms that feeds your entire system. So we designed this garden with ecological concepts. We, really wanted biodiversity. So we use municipal mulch, our local free municipal mulch. Our system here in Pinellas County is pretty good. They solarize it, they turn it over, they process landscape debris that people bring in. They churn it, they grind it up, and then they let it sit for weeks and weeks and weeks in the beating hot sun, and they turn it, and it turns into this wonderful mulch that turns into compost that you can use for your gardens. Now, there are little bits of debris and plastic and things like that in there, but that's not a big issue for us. We don't have weed seeds. We don't get, a lot of the bad things that people associate with those types of mulches. We don't have not seen those, but boy, does it ever create wonderfully rich soil. So yeah, that's what we've been doing here. We have over 60 fruit trees, fruiting shrubs, things that, you know, that you can't grow here supposedly. We're growing apples and pears and peaches and plums. And we also have an entire front that's just, dedicated to native plants. And we didn't necessarily have to alter the soil for the native plants, because that's the lovely thing about natives, is that they don't require a lot of nutrition from the soil. They are very good at adapting to what's there, and they're also very good at following the rain cycles. So on this channel, if you're interested in ecological gardening or gardening in Florida or veganic gardening, because this is also a vegan garden. We do not use animals. We do not use animal inputs. We try to use, you know, things that are beneficial for the world, and buying into a system such as the animal industry to produce food just didn't sit well with me. So this is a veganic garden. Everything in the system stays in the system. It's also very regenerative. We have permaculture practices, but this is not, strictly speaking, a permaculture garden. So if you're interested in gardening in Florida, gardening for wildlife, gardening for nature, please give us a like, check back, you know, subscribe, and follow us along on this journey. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me today.